I decided to share a little bit more about my healing journey with anxiety and in general the healing journey. How it started, how is it going, and maybe also to give some inspiration and maybe even some tips for you to think about or to try out. So I mentioned in an earlier video that the peak of my anxiety was in 2016. I was back then I was living in Berlin. So a lot of people, a lot of energies. Back then I didn't know that this very much affects me as well. Like I'm picking up easily energies and emotions of other people. I was working at a fashion company, a big fashion company. It was a money job. I didn't like it. I liked the people that I was working with, but I didn't like the job itself. It was not at all connecting with my values. And I had my own fashion label that I was working with, and was working in a studio with a lot of my friends. So this was a really nice time actually. But then certain things happened. I don't want to go into that because I don't want anyone to get triggered. But yeah, something happened that I needed to take care of for myself, but also in my family something happened, and this all combined had like a breakthrough of the anxiety and got me into this peak. And it caused me to, looking back, you can maybe see how it's building up already, but yeah, if you are in it, you'll not see it that way. So it caused me that I didn't want to, first of all, I developed like a stomach problem, and it's like stomach, worry, stress. Especially if you're Virgo, you're feeling everything through your body. So I didn't know that back then. I had an inflammation in my stomach. I needed to take care of that. That was the first sign maybe. I didn't want to go out so much anymore. I didn't want to take the public transportation anymore because I didn't want to. I felt like everyone was looking at me. I didn't like it. And I didn't want to sleep alone anymore, so I was sleeping a lot at my friend's place. I didn't want to be alone. There were times that I was so afraid of all kinds of things. Like suddenly I was so sure I had this and this disease. And I was calling then a friend, and she tried to calm me down. But now also thinking back, how must it be for a friend that lives not in your reality? And for her, let's say she's now in the reality that I am now, to listen to someone that her reality is so different. And she's creating a problem that not even is there. And you try to tell her that, but it's not landing. So I did understand what she was saying, and irrationally it was everything clear for me. I did understand it, but my body was reacting in a completely different way. So it was until my friend said, okay, you need to get help because I cannot help you anymore. So that already took another half year for me to get there, to get help. The first interaction I had with, she is still a healer. So this was my first contact with the spiritual world. She did some light and energy meditation with me. It was really helpful, but I could not keep going because it was a little bit too much financially for me. I could not do it for so long. And then I found a therapist. And that helped me in the sense of understanding what was happening in my body. Because I also developed an anxiety of my anxiety. It was not a nice place to be in my body. I didn't like it because it was stopping me from doing certain things because I was afraid to do so. And I didn't want to live like this. Mm. I can even remember a time where I sometimes, so I made myself a dinner. I was sitting in my kitchen eating that dinner, and then I could not, because I had a thought, or I was watching even a series, and someone said something in that series that triggered me, and I could not eat anymore. It's just, I could have just 2 bites, and then that's it, and sometimes even had to throw up because of that. I don't know, it was really cruel. So that was my reality back then. With the therapy, I understood more, and we discovered, or yeah, she discovered with me together, that my self-worth was really low. So we worked on that first. And well, she also explained to me what happens physically in my body when I have an anxiety attack, to make, yeah, so I could understand that also an anxiety attack, panic attack, cannot last longer than 10-15 minutes. And then the body is naturally coming back to its natural way of doing things, because, yeah, you cannot stay in fight and flight for too long. Like in this freeze moment, let's say, fight or flight, yes, but freeze moment, not. At that time, I was already on a level that I was in constant anxiety, like from 100%, maybe I was between 60 and 80%. It was really that high that I woke up and I was afraid. Like my question in my head was always like, what if? But what if? And the fear was that the world is basically after me. And so I kind of made myself the center of the world, and everyone was just behind, like catching me and, hunting me, not catching me, hunting me, for what reason ever. So I was afraid of losing my freedom, feeling guilty a lot. So if I had to make a decision, I was afraid to making the wrong decision. It could be the smallest decision to make, right? But I was so disconnected to my body that it was not an easy thing to trust myself. And that was exactly it. I didn't trust myself. So the therapy helped me to unravel that, and also where it's coming from. So also, they diagnosed me when I was still in my mother's womb, that apparently they measured that my head is way too big, and I'm probably gonna be handicapped or something like this. And of course, for a mother to hear that, that is really a fear that everyone can understand, I think. And well, then when I was born, obviously nothing's wrong with me and everything was good. But to be in a mother's womb, that the mother is so worried about her unborn child already, I think that also carried. So I was born with some part of me already fearful. And so this is at least what I believe. So now I'm seeing, and then, like going a little bit forward, I discovered the spiritual world more and more. I read a lot of books. I started meditating. And more I faced my fears, and I also realized, okay, this is not what I want. So I stopped working for this big company because it was even supporting my anxiety, I would say. So I stopped that. I was working for an artist, which was fine, and working also for another smaller company, fashion company. I stopped with my label. I couldn't do it anymore. I had not the capacity, and also I needed to see, okay, who am I and what's happening. I started traveling, which was good for me to, get my self-trust again. And yeah, it was like these small decisions, these small moments of, okay, I'm turning around and facing my fear and I'm going directly to it instead of like running away. And she, like the therapist, also the first thing that she wanted me to do was every day to look at 3 things that I did or happened to me that were good. To kind of change my perspective from seeing like having the question, what if, to like, okay, what's actually happening good in my life? It took me a while to get to the point that I was doing it every day, but then I started, kind of a habit to do it. That also helped. The biggest thing though, and that I realized doing my first retreat in Berlin, working in it was like some kind of shamanic retreat with only women. And we did some kind of womb voicing, they call it, I think. So what I've learned is that most of us women, because of the history of women, they cut here, they're not connected with their womb anymore, their womb, the heart, and the way to speak. So they have a lot of anger, frustration in their body because they are not allowed to voice it. They have a lot of, generally a lot of, the voice of your womb is not being heard. So we worked on that, and I call it now ceremony that we did, I felt like an energy ball coming out of my mouth. I even felt like I need to vomit, but I didn't. And after this, day after, I remember I was really sore, and I asked what's happening. Like I feel on my body, and they said to me that this is your body releasing. So this was really the journey of me understanding, okay, I need to work with my body in order to release the emotion. And so I started doing Pilates. This was my way to go. I still kept doing also the shamanic stuff. But I was still in the beginning. I had also some resistance to it, and like slowly getting to know it. And Pilates really helped me. I started to do more and more sports. I also had a bike, a race bike, and I basically drove everywhere with that in Berlin. That also helped me to release a lot. Just being active with my body. But it was not so connected. So I was working with my body, but it was not so connected to the emotions really. That came later on. So and in one of the retreats, so during the pandemic, let's say the anxiety attacks went smaller. They were not so big anymore, but they still happened. But it was not that I was in a constant anxiety anymore. That I already got, let's say, friends with the anxiety or with that part of the emotion. But I still had these peaks where I suddenly could not move or, could not think clear. And the fear was really present when these attacks happened. And then I went more or less like, it was 4 retreats, it was with the same healer, and the last retreat was in Portugal. Well, actually the last 3 ones were in Portugal, and there was one where I can't remember if it was the second or the third, where I was standing on the ocean. We were just integrating some things that we did before, and I just heard a yes inside of me. This is where I want to be, because I knew already Berlin is not the place for me to be anymore. Too much energy, too many people. I needed to have it a little bit more quiet. And then I decided that I'm gonna live in Portugal, and 4 months later I moved to Portugal. And this is now 4 years ago. So, this is already, I think, thinking back to the time in 2016 where I thought the world is hunting me to, okay, actually I take my own life in my hand and I decide what's going on. And starting a new life in Portugal with all by myself. I think it's already a turnaround. And now it's more like unraveling where the fear in my body sits, because I understood, and I mentioned that before, I understood that fear is a big part in the way I see things, or the fear is connected to a lot of parts in my life that blocking me from living my life the way I want to live. And one part, it's also affecting sometimes the joy. So surfing for me started with a lot of joy. And then I had accidents. I mean, everyone that's surfing has accidents, I think. And then there started some fear beliefs around it. And it took for me a long time to understand that, wait, why are you doing this? If it's stressful for you, then don't do it. No one forcing you to do it. Yes, you moved to Portugal. One of the reasons were because you also wanted to be close to the ocean so you can surf more. But if this is creating fear, you don't need to do it. So I was not, in the beginning I was very active surfing, and then I wasn't. And now I feel again, I want to do it more, and I feel like I can enjoy it more. And I trust myself. If I feel like it's too rough out there, because the Atlantic can be super rough and wild, then I not to prove anything to anyone, not to myself, not to anyone out there. And my goal is not to be the biggest surfer in Portugal or in the world. I'm doing it for fun. So I like smaller waves. I like if I not need to hustle my way out in the lineup. Sometimes I do that, and sometimes I put myself out of my comfort zone. But I think with what I'm doing already, speaking now in the camera and talking about the anxiety I had, make myself vulnerable. This is a difficult word in English. This is already also making me, I put myself in a position of, in a very uncomfortable position. It's not, I talk about it, and it's okay for me, but still it's like, whoa, okay, I'm gonna put this out in the internet. So, if you already do it as a job, and I like to do it because I know this, putting myself in a position where it's uncomfortable, it inspires other people to do so maybe as well. I'm not now saying put yourself in front of a camera and talk about your life or your anxiety, but to take steps and to put yourself, to not stay in your comfort always. So it affecting that part, and it's not, now I would say, yes, the anxiety is not present anymore, but I still can see where fear is blocking parts of my life. And another part is for sure the part of money. Like, money was always a topic in my family, always a topic in my life, and not necessarily in a positive way. So it's connected to a lot of beliefs of money is bad, money is dirty, money is not falling, money is not growing on trees. Money is a power, but not in a good way, in a bad way, because the bad people are using it for bad things. All this kind of stuff. And I was not realizing it, and I was frustrated and getting really angry. Why am I living in a survival mode? Like, why is that? I am doing good. I want to, or I support already people. So why is money not coming in? Or just in a small amounts? And then it felt like it's just slithering through my hands. And now I understand. It took me a long time to understand how fear is connected to my money beliefs. And it's blocking me from receiving money. And now I'm slowly unraveling that. But I couldn't before because there was all this other stuff on top. So I mentioned it also in the other video. It's often it's not a quick fix. It's like taking time for you to understand, putting you in different situations to understand different side of the aspect. And I have to say, fascial maneuver really helped me a lot, because it's also combining a lot of things that I was doing already before in a way, and believing also, and now finding also a community that it's not weird to talk about that stuff, and where everyone is felt seen, and there's no judgment. I say that, I'm not sure I said it already in a video, but when I was in Mexico with the core team, my brain felt empty. There was no stuff going on here. It was just empty. Because I knew I could, if there's something coming up, someone would come to me and tell me, or I would come and tell the person, like, let's say there's a conflict or something like this, or it doesn't even have to be a conflict, just something that needs to be spoken about. And that is because we are all we have all the same values, and went through the same process, let's say. Everyone with their own story, but we all did the trainings and programs and all that. So it's still a journey for sure, and I don't think it will ever stop, at least not for me, because I am a seeker and I want to know, and I ask questions, and I'm going to the places that I'm comfortable. But this is how you learn, and this is how you choose your reality. And I think I already chose a pretty good reality for myself. And I know from here it's only getting better and better, because life is getting better and better. And with that, I'm ending my little storytelling. Let me know in the comments, how are you experiencing? Are you experiencing even anxiety? Is this something that you're dealing with, or is it something else that you're facing right now? And where do you get are you doing fascial maneuver? If not, try it out. I'm just sending you lots of love, whatever you're going through right now. And also want to say here that feel free to reach out. We can also book, you can book a one-on-one with me, and we can talk about stuff, but also going straight to fascial maneuver and trying to release that part of your body, and seeing where the emotions get stuck. So thank you so much for listening and watching. Please make sure to subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And I see you next time.